in a public space. He's working on a book about his complicated relationship with his childhood nanny.
It's not a Mary Kay Letourneau thing, for those of you who have seen Baby. It's not that. Spoiler. Okay, so I'm reading, this is part of a chapter from the middle of this book about my weird relationship with my nanny. And, okay, the things that you need to know are that, this takes place at like the tail end of a time that I lived in California, and I was there. Carmen, my nanny, she's from Mexico. She comes back to San Diego for doctor's appointments. I was like driving her around. My mom was a sex abuse prosecutor, and there's like this recurring theme about like really clinical sexual language introduced at way too young an age. And so that's also a thing. And then there's like a whole theme about land and what it's worth. And then at one point I'm gonna like skip to the end of this chapter. So just I'm gonna warn you, but that's what's gonna happen. Okay. My sister Swan, and yeah, that's a real name. Get over it. My sister Swan was the first child in our family to move to a place with cold weather. Boston, I said to my other sisters, she's definitely gonna die. The day after her first blizzard, she stood on the frozen curb outside her apartment in Cambridge and poured a stock pot full of hot water all over her car. To melt the snow, she said. Her logic seemed solid to me, cutting edge even. In La Jolla, the suburb of San Diego where we grew up, people didn't know about ice scrapers or snow brushes. I'd never even considered that a scarf had a purpose beyond making a person look vaguely European. So I was baffled when she told me that the hot water turned into cold water, which turned into ice, and her car was frozen to the asphalt. It's no wonder those Puritans loved it so much in New England, I thought to myself, where God was such an asshole that you had to tiptoe around some archaic rule like the freezing point of water just to survive. In Boston. Nature was rarely so unkind in La Jolla, which is why so many people moved there from colder states, places San Diegans took pride in knowing nothing about. These outsiders were strange to us, and if we felt threatened, we'd politely remind them that we'd been too busy hanging out at the beach to care about whatever sad, frozen tundra they crawled out of. It's something I thought I'd grow out of by the time I was in my 30s. Wow, I responded to Josh Rosenthal when he told me he was from Wisconsin. Is that the one that looks like a mitten? I already knew he was from Wisconsin. I also knew that the house in La Jolla where we were having dinner was worth about $5 million, and that his in-laws had helped him and his wife, Lauren, with the down payment. I knew that the Rosenthals liked to vacation on Maui, that they had family in Montreal, and that 8 years earlier, they offered Carmen their spare room and a job taking care of their infant daughter for $900 a month. Less than my parents had paid her in 1990, which, when you adjusted for inflation, meant that we were better people than the Rosenthals would ever be. I also knew that Michigan was the one that looked like a mitten. No, Josh chuckled, Michigan is the mitten. Oh, I said in my thickest Southern California accent, the one that sounded like freeways and beach hair and a total inability to conceive of real hardship. I'd met people like the Rosenthals before, fiscal conservatives driven south and west by their faith in luxury real estate investment and the restorative power of sunshine. Carmen worked for them for 7 years. She'd call me during her long walks with Apollo, their bichon frise, and trash everything about them in a stream of consciousness broken only by phrases like, Apollo, don't eat that, and this fucking dog is so stupid. The dog came darting around the corner when we got to the top of the stairs. Hi, Apollo, Carmen said with a smile. He was whitish yellow and had coal black eyes, like a dirty snowman had fallen over and sprouted 4 little legs and a spunky personality. Oh, look, Kaya, Lauren said. He remembers you. I waited a beat for everybody to take in this wholesome scene before asking Lauren where the nickname Kaya came from. Our youngest couldn't pronounce Carmen when she was a baby, so she called her Kaya, she told me, and then it just kind of stuck. Aw, cute, I responded. I wanted to tell her that Carmen had a nickname for her too. She called her Esa gacha agarrada que no sabe criar sus propios niños. That cheap bitch who doesn't know how to raise her own kids. The Rosenthals were just the latest in a lineup of common enemies that Carmen and I have had over the years. If you get hurt, I get hurt. Carmen told me when she was explaining how to stand up to the kids who were bullying me at school. Tell them chinga tu madre, she advised. Okay, some people got that. I took stock of what I standed to gain by telling a fellow third grader to fuck their mom in Spanish. And I decided instead to take the high road and spread rumors about them behind their backs. I heard Ian has genital warts, I told my friend Amanda. She looked confused, like she had just put the words genital and wart together in her mind and she didn't like what she saw. What's that? She asked me. I don't know, but it sounds bad. Carmen didn't speak English, and she definitely didn't speak the dialect specific to a wealthy California suburb. A place where instead of yes and no, people said yeah and yeah. The second yeah sort of trailed off into vocal fry, like it was limping off to die in a forest somewhere. And people here knew what it meant. Absolutely not. No way in hell. You're insane for thinking that, and don't ever ask me again. So do you like being back in La Jolla? Josh asked me. Yeah. I mean, it's so beautiful. Okay, now I'm skipping to the end of the chapter. Okay. What most people don't mention when they talk about the weather in Southern California is that clear skies and an air temperature of 72 Fahrenheit are perfect conditions for existential dread. I remember going to the beach to watch the sunset with my friends a couple of weeks after I had moved back to La Jolla from New York. We were sipping hard kombuchas on the sand, and the whole beach was cast in a dull pink glow, the kind of lighting that made almost anybody look hot. Everything was perfect. Oh my God, I thought to myself, I've been the problem the whole time. There was something vaguely threatening about the people who left La Jolla. It brought up the same doubts that everybody who lived here had from time to time. Did every sunset look the same? Why was this dry, dusty land on the edge of the desert worth so much money? What if the weather couldn't save you from yourself? What if God in La Jolla was no kinder than God in Boston or Wisconsin or Mexico? And what if you had no choice but to have faith? How could you live with these assholes? I asked Carmen. Porque yo sé que Dios me quiere tanto, she responded. Because I know that God loves me so much.